All right, tree people out there, I have a question for you. So these are the plates that I cut off of the stump, those cookies that I cut the other day, and I've got one more sitting over somewhere. Now this one I've removed a lot of the outer stuff because it was real rotten and punky. And if you look here, you can kind of see this moving into the heartwood there. You see this white stuff on there. It's inside the wood actually. There's some more over here. That is some sort of mycelium, as in a fungus. Here's a chunk that I cut off. You can see it pretty plainly there underneath the bark. So I thought up until just a minute ago that the severe drought that we've had in the last couple years is what killed this tree, but then cut it down and it's hollow. And then I'm planning on trying to make tables out of these. At least try to get a couple of tables out of them, and it's cracking, falling apart. That's from drying, but I'll have to pour like an epoxy or something on it to stabilize that in order to make a table. And then also you can see there's been, bugs and whatnot boring on the outside, but I suspect that actually happened after the tree died. I think this tree's been dead longer than I thought. I just didn't know it. So a lot of times trees kind of die from the top down, and I guess specifically what I'm asking, so this was a pecan tree, not sure exactly what species, but what I noticed is that the further, like every layer that I took off of the stump, the rot was worse, right? Which would make sense if it was rotting from the bottom. So this one that's kind of buried right here, all of that's going to have to come off there, that whole little lobe. So the last one that I cut, I actually just chainsawed those off. But I suspect actually what might have killed this tree is some sort of a root rot. I didn't know anything about it, but I was watching the video, and maybe I'm completely off here, but it was one of Guilty Treason's videos, but they were talking about root rot. I think it was him and Kevin Ham maybe. But a fungus that gets into the roots of the trees and then it grows. And if I remember right, they said that fungus can spread away from the tree like 1 foot per year, which would actually make sense because about 15 feet away from this tree, there was another pretty big tree, which is probably why this one was leaning, because it was looking for sunlight because that other tree was shading it out. But it died and it fell over like 6 or 7 years ago, kind of right before I bought the place. It was still, fresh falling over. Super rotten though, lots of fungus on it, and didn't think anything of it at the time. But now this one's dead, and as I cut it down, like I said, I'm seeing progressively more rot in that, the outer layer, and particularly on those lobes that stick out, which just go to roots that are in the ground. So I'm wondering if that was actually a root rot problem. I'm specifically asking because there's another tree not far from where this one was. So I'm wondering if maybe it's in danger of that rot. And I don't think there's really much you can do about it. But yeah, kind of interesting. I didn't notice that, didn't think about it until just now. I was cleaning up the rot to try and kind of see what I had to make a table with. But kind of interesting. So some sort of pecan in eastern Oklahoma is where I'm at. So I'm wondering, is there a common fungus that causes root rot in pecan trees in particular, but, any species, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know anything about it. Not a tree guy. I'm a cow guy. So not a problem with cows, but kind of interesting though. So pretty cool. Anyway, I'm going to try to make tables out of these. We'll see if I can save them from just completely cracking and falling apart. I have an idea, wood glue and water maybe on both sides to slow down the drying. And then, like I said, we'll pour it full of epoxy. But I got to get all the rotten stuff off the outside. So I suspect on this one, I'll have to take kind of all of that outer layer, the kind of the yellow part. We'll leave the redder part in there, and the same on that one, and the same underneath there, and the other one's sitting over there. It was easier to roll, so I put it further in the barn. These ones are pretty heavy. So ended up pretty thick, like 4 inches on that one, and that one is even thicker. But yeah, I don't know. I have another pecan tree that is right next to water, and it appears to be dying, and it's kind of dying from the top down. And so I guess that's kind of the way this works. The fungus gets in the bottom of the tree, right, and it rots out all of the cambium, and that's how the tree transports water and nutrients and whatnot from the root structure up to the top of the tree. And so then the top starts dying first, because it's getting choked out from the bottom by the fungus. So anyway, if anybody knows, I'd be curious. And yeah, that's all, I suppose. Interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna try and make tables out of these. I'll show you if I do whatever I end up doing. And yeah, maybe too far gone on this one though, because if that fungus is in there and it appears to be into the heartwood there, so that'd be kind of a bummer. These are cool looking piece of wood, even with all the rot removed. It's a neat shape, so hopefully I can save them and make something cool out of them. But yeah, anyway, yeah, if anybody knows about that root rot, be curious to learn about it. If you have any resources or whatever to read about it, because I got a lot of pecan trees over there and I really like them. So if there's anything I can do to preserve them, I would. So anyway, all right, thanks for watching. See you guys later.